Hey guys, how's it going? Like Butter here, and it feels like it's been years since I've posted here on my YouTube channel. And I do apologize for you guys over here that follow me. I really just haven't felt really passionate about making YouTube videos in a very long time. YouTube has changed a lot over the years, and although I've been doing YouTube since 2007, there I just felt like I needed to take a break because a lot of the policies that they enforce, a lot of the changes that YouTube is making, a lot of their features are very discouraging for old school content creators like myself. For example, deleting like super large amounts of old channels and stuff to obviously save space on their servers, but it's very discouraging for people like me who've been around a long time because that means our subscriber count is constantly going down. So I've always, for the last like 5 years, been really fighting against that, and it's discouraging. But I do want to get back into making YouTube videos again, if it's not for just advertisement on Twitch, because obviously I spend most of my time on Twitch, but I do want to split time to YouTube as well for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm super passionate about Escape from Tarkov. I just recently got back into it, and I think 0.12, which is the big update where they basically moved everything to a newer engine and have a complete overhaul, new map, new mechanics, all that stuff. And I'm very passionate about this game, and I think that there's a space for someone like me on this game to kind of cover stuff and give tips and tricks and show some raw gameplay and whatnot. And if you don't know what Escape from Tarkov is, it is kind of like a instance-based military simulator loot hoarder. It's kind of like a first-person hardcore version of the Dark Zone in the Division, kind of mixed with DayZ almost. There's definitely a DayZ feel to it, but it's instant-based on small maps, even though in the future they do want to plan to hopefully connect all the maps together. That would be really cool. But regardless, 0.12 is a fantastic update, and I kind of just want to talk about it and give you guys an idea of what's changed in this update and things I think are good and things that I think definitely need work. Okay, so one of the maps that you're watching me play here on screen is Labs, and how Labs works is it's a very high tier loot area that costs you close to 200,000 rubles, which is the main currency that you're going to be using in Tarkov, just to get a key card off the market so that you can enter this map. Now, the idea is you have this really rare item. It's not super rare. You'll find it on scavs. You'll find it in filing cabinets called a Labs key card. You can use that key card. It's a one-time use to get into the map, and it has really high-end loot. When you go to extract these raiders, these scav raiders, which are basically higher level AI with better weapons, better ammo, and better aim than the normal scavs, which, if you don't know, scavs are basically just the NPCs that walk around. You could spawn in as a player scav, but if you're new to Tarkov, that's probably just going to overcomplicate things. Just know that this map called Labs is my favorite map in the game, and some people have some different opinions on it, right? Some people think that the map is really overpowered because of the high-end loot that you can get from here. Now, what was happening is a lot of people were basically going on really, really dead servers, and they were bringing in thick items cases, knowing that they were most likely going to be the only player on the server. They come in completely decked, even with like a group or two or three, and they come in, they kill, a bunch of raiders, they get a ton of XP, and they get a ton of rubles. And because they aren't scared of dying to other players, they would bring in thick cases and basically just come out with like 10 to 15 weapons. Because of this, Labs actually got a pretty significant nerf, and I think these people are to blame for that. Now, you can't blame the people for doing it. It's mostly just how it's set up, but it kind of stinks that this is kind of affecting the people who do play the map on populated servers and want to feel rewarded for getting on this map. Remember, you're putting the risk of the gear that you bring in with you, which if you're going to be fighting against raiders, you usually want to bring in some good gear. Like I'm using an MP7 Gen 4 assault, and I think I'm using a fast MT helmet here, which is allowing me to kind of take a few shots from these raiders without them absolutely one-tapping me. But you're going to see me kind of running around and swapping out armors and finding new ones and whatnot. But I really dislike the changes that they made to labs. Now, currently, what's going on with labs is the two main extractions, which basically caused the most action in labs and made it so action packed, only has a 50% chance of it spawning. So basically, how that works is there are two buttons that basically activate a main extraction, and activating that extraction spawns raiders. It's usually either 3 or 6, and I think it depends on how many people are left on the map. But so like kind of what's happening is during some of these raids, you're spending 200,000 for the card, and then you're bringing in and risking a couple 100,000 rubles worth of gear. If these two main extractions don't spawn, you're basically shit out of luck. And you basically are risking for no reward. And the problem with that is because the Raiders actually got a pretty significant nerf when it comes to the gear that they can drop. They used to drop like anywhere between 5 and 6 60-round mags, a ton of mags with ammo. And like I said, people would bring in ammo, magazine cases, and they would just basically stack all of that ammo. And like I said, because of that, now it's getting nerfed pretty hard. I think a good change for this would be if they want to kind of fight against that, make it so that you can't put magazine cases in your gamma case. That would kind of keep people from bringing in ridiculous stuff. So if you want to bring in a magazine case, you want to bring in a thick case, or whatever it is. I think the thick case is too big anyways, but you should have to have that on your inventory. And I definitely think they should make it so that people can't just go on dead servers and basically get into labs raids and be able to get out with millions and millions of rubles. And I would definitely turn back the reason, or bring back either more flow of scabs, because like I said, if these two main elevators, or sorry, not the elevators, the extractions, these two main extractions don't spawn, you're going to have way less raiders. And it almost feels like the labs runs have been kind of boring if you end up not going against a ton of other players and there's not any extractions up. You're basically going to have to go downstairs, hit the main elevator, power that on, and then, power the sewer, and then power the medical elevator. And that will spawn probably anywhere between 9 to 12 scavs. And considering that their loadouts are so nerfed, a lot of times you're not even going to make money even if you survive the raid. And I don't think that's right. I think that labs should feel rewarding since you're going in and you're risking a lot to go on there. But like I said, this is kind of something that has changed that hasn't felt too great. But if the raid ends up having those main elevators, even if it's one, there's a few ways they could do this. They could make it so that either one or the other is always up. So have it be basically 50-50 on which one's up, or have a chance for both of them to be up. I think that would be good. But I think like if one of them is down, the other one should automatically be up. And I think this would be a good change. But obviously, like, they have their own plans. This is just me giving some feedback. I do feel like labs isn't as worth as it was in the past. And I know why they're kind of trying to nerf it. I know some people think that labs is super overpowered and you shouldn't, like a new player shouldn't be able to go on labs and get high-end gear. But in my opinion, if you're going in there and you're risking stuff, I think that you should be able to be rewarded for your risk. However, there's a huge issue right now that seems to be getting worse as time goes on, and this is the hatchling problem, which is another thing I kind of wanted to talk about. So before we get into that, I just want to say that 0.12 is probably the best that Tarkov has ever been. Performance is better. Obviously the netcode is something I've been very critical of in the past. The netcode feels great in 0.12. They really just nailed it out of the park. Reserve is a super fun map, although right now it is a bit unoptimized, and the developers have came out and been pretty clear about that and honest, saying, yeah, like we didn't meet our expectations for optimization, and they're probably going to work on that. But as of right now, Reserve is really laggy. You're usually getting like 40 to 50 FPS on there, and I have a monstrous rig. Sometimes you can get up near 60 FPS, but it is not optimized very well. But it is a good map, and I think over time they're going to optimize it better. Because remember, this game is technically still in beta, early access. You're basically paying for early access to play this game. And the stutters definitely improved a lot in the beginning, but I've kind of started to notice that the stutters have gotten worse. They're definitely going to be trying some stuff to increase performance, but the stutters definitely aren't fixed. But they definitely felt like a huge improvement when the servers came back online after 0.12. And I know they have some big things planned for 0.13, which is going to be another huge update. It's not going to be as big as 0.12, where they, basically added a new boss to Woods. Obviously, they have a boss on reserve, and they added the hideout too, which is essentially, I thought it was going to be more of a skill tree. I guess it kind of is a skill tree in a way, where you're basically putting resources into your hideout, and it's kind of leveling up stuff for you, allowing you to have better water regeneration and food regeneration, that kind of stuff, which all got changed in this patch too. They've done a ton of good changes, but the hatchling problem, which was supposed to get a nerf, which the way they tried nerfing it is by making it that you have to heal after a raid. So you basically have to spend like probably, I think it's like 11 to 12,000 rubles in meds to heal yourself back up to full. But this hasn't actually affected the hatchling players, the people who are running around basically with no gear. And the reason it hasn't affected them is because they just don't heal. They basically just go back in, and I think it puts all your limbs at like 20 HP out of like 50 or whatever. And so what people are doing right now is, instead of, healing up and then being like, oh, hatchling runs aren't really worth it because I'm having to spend 11 to 12K. Instead, what they're doing is they're just purposely not healing, because if you're running around with no defense, people are going to kill you in one shot regardless, right? Your basic mentality as a hatchling is to run to the high-end loot areas before anyone else, because you have no gear on, so you can run the fastest. You have a hatchet in your hand, so you're running faster. And basically what it does is you beat the geared players to the high-end loot. You drag that stuff into your gamma container, and then you don't care if you die, right? I think that this gameplay is super, super horrible, and I hope that, and I think they do have a fix for this in the future. But in my opinion, if they are going to fix this, I would take away the need to heal your character. I think if they want you to use items to fix fractures and stuff, that's understandable. But all this having to heal after a raid is hurting the players that play aggressive and like to get involved. Obviously, so it's kind of like hurting the players who are already risking loot and are already going to feel the pain of dying. But they're going to feel the pain of dying twice as much, because now you have to spend money to heal your character as well. Whereas, like I said, hatchlings are just running around and they're not healing on purpose, because, like I said, they have no reason to heal, because if they get shot, they're going to die anyways. So I think that the fix in the future is going to be to not allow people to drag items into their gamma container or their alpha container. I think this is a good change, honestly. I think that container should be used for bringing items in, for example, like, surgery kits, medical items, that kind of stuff. Maybe some money if you want to have a wallet and have some money in there so that you can extract in certain areas, and taking money off the map. I think that's fine. But having a hatchling basically running up to a key spawn, which obviously the red key cards is selling for like 20 million rubles or something. I'm not sure if it dropped or not, but I know that a last patch it was selling for like 25 million rubles. You got to think, like, people are basically going in with hatchets. They're running to these high-end areas. If it's there, they drag it in their gamma container, and they're making more money than these people that are going in and risking their gear. That I don't think that's right, and I hope they do change that in the future. But like I said, if they do change it, I would definitely remove the need to kind of do surgeries on your character after a raid, because like I said, I think if that was, intended to nerf hatchlings, it hasn't worked, and it's just made it worse for everyone else who's not playing that way. Having people run around risking nothing and just, shoving items into their prison wallet is definitely not good gameplay, because for the people who go in geared, that's less players on the map. That's less action. That's less competition when it comes to, combat. So, if you shoot a hatchling, you're a dick for shooting a hatchling. But if you don't shoot a hatchling, you're letting them run around and drag all the rare stuff into their bag. And you're basically letting them have a chance at getting any type of gear without having to risk anything themselves and probably kill you. So I understand why people do hatchling runs, though, because I know that this game can be very punishing in the beginning when you have really low-end gear and you're kind of starting out. if I were to suggest anything, I think they need to have some earlier quests kind of before the main ones that are super simple, like maybe fill a mag, like super simple stuff that can just give you small amounts of money in the beginning to kind of jumpstart people a bit, so that they don't feel like they need to go on these hatchling runs to make money. And there was also a couple really good ideas to kind of make scavs more relevant as well, to make people want to do their scav runs. Although, dude, to be honest, scav runs are great. It's pretty much exactly what you would do with a hatchling, but you're still like a threat on the map. You're still, somebody that can be considered a threat. And I think that's good. I think that's good to have. I'd rather have people running around, scavving around with weapons and having them having decent gameplay than watching someone run up to you with a hatchet out and they're just completely helpless. But anyways, guys, I think 0.12 is probably the best condition Escape from Tarkov has ever been. The hacking situation was always the thing that kind of shied me away from Tarkov, and seeing that they have the hacking situation under control so well, man, it just makes me so happy to be back playing this game and covering it. I do stream it almost every single day, so if you guys want to come over and ask some questions, as always, my Twitch is in the description. Thank you guys so much. It's good to be back posting on YouTube. I love you guys very much. Let me know if you guys have any ideas for Tarkov vids, if you guys want to see kind of some raw gameplay. I want to do some tips and trick stuff. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Be sure to drop the video a like if you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.